Welcome all to the online lecture series of Mechanical Engineering Materials. In our today's lecture, we'll look into effect of various alloying elements on steel. Here the course outcome is selecting relevant ferrous material for mechanical components. Now let's first start off with finding out what are the different topic outcomes for this lecture. Topic level outcomes. First is finding out the effect of elements in alloying element or alloying steel. Next is what is tool steel, its types of tool steel, then what is stainless steel, and finally types of stainless steel. These outcomes we will cover in two or three lecture series. There will be three parts of this lecture number 9, to cover all these points. Now first let's understand why do we need to have the alloying of a steel or alloying of a element. So as we have discussed in our previous lecture, that is lecture number 8, that what are the advantages of alloying, how by including various elements such as chromium, nickel, molybdenum, titanium, manganese, etc. into steel or into any base metal like iron, we can enhance its mechanical as well as physical properties in order to make it more more applicable friendly, and we can have it to use for multiple purposes. So alloying elements are added to achieve certain properties in a material. As a guideline, alloying elements are added in lower percentage. We have already seen the percentage of alloying elements are really low. They range from 0.05% to 5%. Also, if we increase the percentage, then we have a different properties, or we achieve a different properties from the alloying element or the alloy of a element. Here in this case, as it is mentioned here, if the percentage of alloying is less than 5%, then it helps to increase the strength and hardenability, or if it is more than 5%, then it helps to achieve special properties such as corrosion resistance and extreme temperature stability. Now here you can see in this table, this is very important table because here you get to know what are the different properties that get affected with the various alloying element. Here the alloying elements are chromium, nickel, molybdenum, tungsten and vanadium, and the properties that we are considering are strength, hardness, toughness, corrosion resistance, hardenability, resistance to wear, and shock resistance, fine grain size, the same size of grain of a element, tensile and creep strength, and heat resistance. Here the upward green arrow indicates that the with addition of any element such as, for example, let's say chromium, the property strength, hardness, toughness, corrosion resistance, hardenability increases. That means when you add chromium to a steel, then its strength, hardness, toughness, corrosion resistance and hardenability increases. Similarly, if you look at the other element, that is nickel, when it is added to a steel, it leads to increase in strength, then toughness, then corrosion resistance and shock resistance. Now similarly, if we look at molybdenum, you can see it helps to increase a lot of properties in a steel, that is strength, then hardness, toughness, corrosion resistance, hardenability, resistance to wear, fine grain size, tensile strength or tensile and creep strength. Similarly, in case of tungsten, the strength, hardness, fine grain size and heat resistance properties increases. Now just remember, fine grain size is nothing but size of grains of a element. That means it shows that what is the structure of an element. For example, if this is a just right, yeah. If this is a microscopic structure of an element, if the grain size is like this, that means the atoms or grains of an atom are larger in size, then it is called as coarse type of element or coarse grain type of element. But if the element has a fine structure, then here the sizes of grain of an element, that is atoms of an element, will be very small, so which leads to a grain of fine grain size of an element. So here molybdenum tungsten helps to get a fine grain size of element, because with fine grain size we get better machinability, that is better cutting, welding, forging ability of the element. Now next is vanadium. In case of vanadium, we see that it increases the strength, then toughness, hardenability and shock resistance. So this table is easy to remember, because here, as you can see, this green arrow indicates what are the different properties that are getting better, or that are improving in the element when different alloying elements are added to the steel. Similarly, if there is any adverse effect, that is, if there is any bad effect of adding the alloying element to the steel, then you can denote it with the decrease symbol. That is, it is a red arrow, downward arrow. So I expect all of you to pause this video at this slide and note it down this table and revise it frequently, so that you will get to know which element when added to steel improves what type of mechanical properties. Now let's continue this. And by the way, if you have to recall what are the different mechanical properties are, what are their basic definitions, then please refer lecture number 4.2 and lecture number 4.3 in our lecture series. Now similarly, now look at the rest of the alloying elements. Here there are different alloying elements, like there are more than 30 alloying elements that are used, but here we are considering only most commonly used alloying elements that are covered in our syllabus. So here also we are looking at mechanical properties. We have include some other mechanical properties specific to this element, that is machinability and ductility. So here, as you can see, when phosphorus and lead is added to a steel, it leads to increase in hardness, then toughness, corrosion resistance or oxidation resistance, and machinability. That is, with addition of phosphorus and lead to the steels, it is easy to machine, that is, it is easy to work with the steel. You can give various shapes, you can make various utensils, you can make various products from your steel when phosphorus and leads are added, because the machinability increases. Similarly, here if you add sulfur to the steel, then it has bad effect or adverse effect on the applications or on the properties of the steel. So as you can see, when sulfur is added, then it reduces this toughness as well as ductility. If ductility is reduced, then we can't make thin wires from steel, so, or we can't put, or we can't apply tensile loading on that steel, which ultimately affects its machinability. So with addition of sulfur, we have some disadvantages. That means it leads to decrease in toughness and decrease in ductility. Here the red downward arrow indicates the adverse effect of adding any alloying element to the steel. Now here silicon. In case of silicon, it increases strength of a steel, it increases corrosion resistance, shock resistance and machinability. You guys just have to remember that you don't have to write the statements or read every statement from the book. Here if you make, or if you go through this table frequently, like if you revise this table every other in a week once or twice, you'll definitely get an idea about what are the properties what are the mechanical properties that are being affected by various alloying element. No, you don't have to mug up these properties, you just have to remember this table. Similarly, when titanium is added to steel, it increases strength, hardness, hardenability and heat resistance. Here heat resistance indicates that when steel is steel contains titanium, when a titanium is added to a steel as an alloying element, it helps steel to sustain at high heat temperature or high temperature, which means it can be machined at a higher temperature without any failure. You can see that the strength or toughness or hardness of a steel when titanium is added to it increases, as well as its heat resistance. It means it does not melt at a higher temperature, so it is easy to work with titanium even if it goes at a higher temperature. Next is cobalt. When cobalt is added to a steel, there is one adverse effect that it reduces the hardenability. As I mentioned before, refer lecture number 4.2 and 4.3 to understand what is exactly hardenability and what is hardness. Most of the time students confuses what is hardness and hardenability. Just remember, I already told you, when it comes to hardness, remember Gorilla Glass screen or screen guard that we use in our mobiles. Now let's look at different types of tool steel, and initially we'll first look at what is tool steel. So as you know, the name suggests tool steel means a steel that is used for making tools. So this can be tools for, here tools means machining tools. It could be any tool, tool for cutting metals, tool for cutting woods, tool for cutting plastics, tool for shaping plastic, etc. So any tool that we use in day to day life is most commonly manufactured using your tool steel. So tool steel refers to variety of carbon and alloy steels that are particularly well suited to be made into steel tools. Their suitable outcomes come from their distinctive hardness, resistance to abrasion. Here abrasion means it does not wear and tear. That means if you use, you can use it for multiple times for multiple operations. Then their ability to hold a cutting edge, that means its cutting edge always remain sharp. So when you use any tool steel, it should have a sharp cutting edge, and so that the cutting ability of the tool will be better than the most of the available in market. Their resistance to deformation at elevated temperature, that is red hardness, it means they don't deform, that don't melt or don't bend even if we are using them at a higher temperature. Tool steel is generally used in a heat treated state. So here also we can say most of the time tool steel are used where the temperature is higher. So we need to have a higher temperature or higher heat resistance with our tool steel. Now look at the characteristics. It is generally used in heat treated state. That means it works at a high temperature. It has carbon content between 0.7 to 1.5%. Tool steels are manufactured under carefully controlled conditions to produce the required quality. The manganese content is often kept low to minimize the possibility of cracking during water quenching. What exactly is water quenching? We'll look at our unit number 6. As of now, just remember the percentage of carbon in tool steel, and that they are mostly used when the temperature is at a higher level. Here this concludes our part 1 of our 3 part lecture series of lecture number 9, focusing on effects of alloying elements in tool steel. In next unit we'll look into various types of tool steel. So as of now, just go through these tables, find out what are the different mechanical properties using this lecture number 4.2 and 4.3, and how these various alloying elements affect the mechanical properties of steel. Thank you. Next lecture we'll look into different types of tool steel.